The history of the Amazon jungle spans millions of years, from its formation by geological events to its current state shaped by climate change and human activity. Key periods include the formation of the Amazon River around 10 million years ago, the impact of the ice ages, which caused the rainforest to shrink and fragment, and the long-standing presence of indigenous peoples who managed the ecosystem for millennia. European exploration began in the 16th century, leading to increased human impact, particularly in the 20th century, through deforestation for resources in agriculture, though conservation efforts have since been implemented. The Amazon rainforest, aka the Amazon jungle or Amazonia, is a moist, broadleaf tropical rainforest in the Amazon biome that covers most of the Amazon basin of South America. This basin encompasses 7 million kilometers squared, or 2.7 million square miles, which are covered by the rainforest. This region includes territory belonging to 9 nations and 3,344 indigenous territories. The majority of the forest, 60%, is in Brazil, followed by Peru with 13%, Colombia with 10%, and with minor amounts in Bolivia, Ecuador, French Guiana, Suriname, and Venezuela. 4 nations have Amazonas as the name of one of their first-level administrative regions, and France uses the name Guiana Amazonian Park for French Guiana's protected rainforest area. The Amazon represents over half of the total area of remaining rainforests on Earth and comprises the largest and most biodiverse tract of tropical rainforest in the world, with an estimated 390 billion individual trees and about 16,000 species. More than 30 million people of 350 different ethnic groups live in the Amazon, which are subdivided into 9 different national political systems and 3,344 formally acknowledged indigenous territories. Indigenous peoples make up 9% of the total population, and 60 of the groups remain largely isolated. Large-scale deforestation is occurring in the forest, creating different harmful effects. Economic losses due to deforestation in Brazil could be approximately 7 times higher in comparison to the cost of all commodities produced through deforestation. In 2023, the World Bank published a report proposing a non-deforestation-based economic program in the region. Deforestation hurts agriculture so severely that it can lead to agro-suicide. Based on archaeological evidence from an excavation at Caverna da Pedra Pintada, human inhabitants first settled in the Amazon region at least 11,200 years ago. Subsequent development led to late prehistoric settlements along the periphery of the forest by AD 1250, which induced alterations in the forest cover. For a long time, it was thought that the Amazon rainforest was never more than sparsely populated, as it was impossible to sustain a large population through agriculture, given the poor soil. Archaeologist Betty Medgers was a prominent proponent of this idea, as described in her book Amazonia, Man and Culture in a Counterfeit Paradise. She claimed that a population density of 0.2 inhabitants per square kilometer is the maximum that can be sustained in the rainforest through hunting, with agriculture needed to host a larger population. However, recent anthropological findings have suggested that the region was actually densely populated. The Upano Valley sites in present-day eastern Ecuador predate all known complex Amazonian societies. Some 5 million people may have lived in the Amazon region in AD 1500, divided between dense coastal settlements, such as that at Marajo, and inland dwellers. Based on projections of food production, one estimate suggests over 8 million people living in the Amazon in 1492. By 1900, the native indigenous population had fallen to 1 million, and by the early 1980s, it was less than 200,000. The first European to travel the length of the Amazon River was Francisco Orellana in 1542. The BBC's Unnatural Histories presents evidence that Orellana, rather than exaggerating his claims as previously thought, was correct in his observations that a complex civilization was flourishing along the Amazon in the 1540s. The pre-Columbian agriculture in the Amazon basin was sufficiently advanced to support prosperous and populous societies. It is believed that civilization was later devastated by the spread of diseases from Europe, such as smallpox. This civilization was investigated by the British explorer Percy Fawcett in the early 20th century. The results of his expeditions were inconclusive, and he disappeared mysteriously on his last trip. His name for this lost civilization was the city of Z. And since the 1970s, numerous geoglyphs have been discovered on deforested land dating between AD 1 and 1250, furthering claims about pre-Columbian civilizations. Ondamur Diaz is accredited with first discovering the geoglyphs in 1977, and now Keo Ranzi is credited with furthering their discovery after flying over Acre. The BBC's Unnatural Histories presented evidence that the Amazon rainforest, rather than being a pristine wilderness, has been shaped by man for at least 11,000 years through practices like forest gardening and terra preta. Terra preta is found over large areas in the Amazon forest and is now widely accepted as a product of indigenous soil management. The development of this fertile soil allowed agriculture and silviculture in the previously hostile environment, meaning that large portions of the Amazon rainforest are probably the result of centuries of human management rather than naturally occurring as has previously been supposed. In the region of the Zingo tribe, remains of some of these large settlements in the middle of the Amazon forest were found in 2003 by Michael Heckenberger and colleagues of the University of Florida. Among those were evidence of roads. In the Amazonas, there has been fighting and wars between the neighboring tribes of the Jivaro. Several tribes of the Jivaron group, including the Shuar, practiced headhunting for trophies and head shrinking. The accounts of missionaries to the area and the borderlands between Brazil and Venezuela have recounted constant infighting in the Yanomamo tribes. More than a third of the Yanomamo males, on average, died from warfare. The Mundaruku were a warlike tribe that expanded along the Tapajos River and its tributaries and were feared by neighboring tribes. In the early 19th century, the Mundaruku were pacified and subjugated by the Brazilians. It is documented that large war parties of the Bororo, Kayapa, Mundaruku, Guarani, and Tupi people carried out long-distance raids.